Hey everybody, it's your boy Wayne here to give you guys a weekly wheel and other options update. And boy was it a busy week, in particular with cash secured puts. As you guys may recall, last week I was down and boo-hooing about me trying to explore and do other types of options to include the Iron Condor, call credit spreads, and put credit spreads. And I learned a valuable lesson, which is stick to what you know. And that's what I did this past week by selling covered calls and an abundance of cash secured puts. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go ahead and start things off with covered calls. And I really did not have a lot of activity. One of the problems that I'm experiencing right now is, especially with tech as well as Tesla, we have seen such an incredible run up in share price for these stocks in which I own 100 plus shares, that a lot of the existing covered call contracts, I am actually at risk of having those 100 shares called away. So I have had to aggressively roll my position so I do not lose my 100 shares. And guys, truth be told, some of these positions I am selling below cost basis, so that's going to pose an issue to me if I am not properly managing it. Remember, everything with a orange field represents that that position was currently a roll. So again, take a look at Tesla. This was a roll. Tesla, another roll. Chewy, I actually did a live demonstration of this past Friday. That was a roll. Tesla, yet again, another roll. Amazon, two rolls. Tesla, yet again. Here's the big problem. I've had to roll these so far out. Tesla, for example, line item 347. Take a look. I now have to wait until December, not only for Tesla, but as well as Amazon. So this is, guys, really the downside to selling covered calls. If the share price goes so above the strike price, unless you're okay with having those shares called away, and normally I would be if I'm not selling below cost basis, again, this is going to be the risk in doing so. Now let's go ahead and give you guys a look at all the cash secured puts that I wrote this past week, beginning on June 5th, 2023. If we scroll down here, you're going to see the number of contracts, 21, which is going to be way more than the covered call contracts I entered into. I want to give you guys a breakdown on some of the premium that I was able to earn. So let's go ahead and take a look here at Netflix. And one of the things that I normally would do is lock in premium when I'm able to walk away with 75 or 85% of that premium. That was not the case with Netflix because I had so much cash as collateral, and in this case it was nearly $40,000. I earned $285 for that open premium. Rather than let this get down to that 85 to 90%, I decided to close early, paying back $93 and locking in that profit of $192. I think it was a smart move because essentially I turned right around and I wrote another cash secured put. That open premium was for $217. And once again, rather than waiting to reach 75, 80%, if you look at the number here, I actually got about 50% of profit. And that's okay with me because it allowed me to open up a few more positions. So let's go ahead and update this spreadsheet. Now, one thing I want you guys to pay attention to is after I update the spreadsheet, you guys are going to see pretty significant numbers in June 2023 for both covered calls and cash secured puts. I'm going to go ahead and explain why the covered call is such a significant jump up. And I also want you guys to pay attention to December of 2022. That's right? Even though 2022 is in my rear view, there is technically one contract that remained open up until this past week. So let's go ahead and watch these numbers. And that's also going to include my total premium earned for 2022. That's going to be affected as well. All right, a lot going on. The spreadsheet has been updated and you're probably like, what the heck is going on? Let's go ahead and take a look here at covered calls in June of 2023. And you might be saying, Wayne, how did you go from $9,000 to $20,283? Well, it all comes down to Celsius. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Robinhood. Currently, I own 100 shares. My cost basis is $76.40. The current share price is $139. And you might say, wow, Wayne, you have an unrealized gain of 82%. Well, here's the problem. I have a covered call that I wrote in 2022. Let's go ahead and find that covered call contract. It's line item 465. Now, I wrote this covered call back in December of 2022, and it was set to expire in July of 2023. And for that, I earned $3,500. Now that itself was also a roll. The problem is the strike price, which you see right here is $100. And if we go back to Celsius and we take a look here at the amazing month that they've had, right, and the amazing 3 months that they have, in which they were up 60%, I had no idea that Celsius would have such an incredible run up. So here is the downside to selling covered calls. Yes, I have an 82% unrealized gain, but none of that matters since I have a covered call contract in which I have agreed to sell 100 shares, not for the current share price of $139. Back in December of last year, I agreed to sell my shares at a $100 strike price. So you guys can see I didn't want to have those 100 shares called away, so I decided to roll my position. And when you roll a position, for my spreadsheets, I will note the loss, and in this case, that loss was for $4,588, which means if we go back here to my spreadsheet, you guys take a look here at December of 2022, that number has changed dramatically. In fact, if you were to rewind and go back, that number was $13,777. But because I technically had that one contract open back to 2022, I was not able to completely close the book on 2022. That is until today. So I went through 2022 covered calls, I went through 2022 cash secured puts, and guys, I'll tell you, full disclosure, I apologize. I had to make a correction to my December 2022 cash secured puts as well. So this number is going to be about $10 or so different. I think it's because I didn't note a contract that I probably bought to close. You know, guys, I keep it completely transparent. I wouldn't want you guys to watch this and say, oh, he's fudging the numbers. But yes, this number right here, in which I've made now in 2022, 47,000, that number was 52,000. But remember, when you roll a contract, I will note the loss. The amount that I paid back in premium, I will include that as to when I originally wrote the contract. And that dates back here, and again, we'll go back to 2022. That dates back to when I initially wrote this in December of 2022. So again, this is why I never say, yes, you know, this year, you know, this month I've made $20,000. No, you have to add up in totality. You got to zoom out. So look at January. That also has seen a further loss. It was $25,000 before the update. Again, I had a few contracts that I had to roll this past week. And the reason I'm rolling these positions is because the share price has gone up so quickly. I, of course, do not want these shares to be called away from me prematurely. And the way that you can do that is constantly monitor and make a decision as to whether you want to buy to close, obviously, which would incur a loss. But in my situation, I was able to successfully roll. It does not mean that Celsius is not going to be called away. And if you guys look here, I've only really put a Band-Aid on the wound because essentially the only thing I was able to roll to, in which I was able to earn net positive premium, was a $110 strike price. This is going to now expire in 2024. And so in reality, someone's going to look at this and be like, all right, you know, I had to pay, right, $4,600. But if Celsius continues to go to the moon, right, they might make a decision to exercise early on me. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to reap the benefits of 82% capital gains. I'm only going to see capital gains that's going to be in the amount between the difference of what I paid, which is $76.40, and the contract in which my gains are capped at 110. So again, this is the downside. I never want you guys to think, oh, covered calls, it's always so great and so magical and you're gonna make all of this money. Yes, you can make some serious money, and my updated total from 2022 is $47,000. My updated total for 2023 now is up to $21,000, and if we factor in some of those stocks that I featured in the Wheel series, I'm up to $24,000 in profit. For me, the big story this past week was cash secured puts. I was able to be very aggressive with the amount of contracts that I opened, but also strategic in how early I close out those positions to save my cash flow and then be able to open up other contracts. Sorry if this video brought you down a rabbit hole you weren't ready to explore, but this is the life of selling options. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. We'll see you on the next one.